The story begins with a man being chased through a forest by a mysterious psychopath. The tension is palpable with every step he takes while trying to escape. Before long, the man is caught. We then shift to a calmer scene, showing a small family on vacation in the countryside, hoping to avoid the chaos of the city's election season. Here we meet Keith, the father and master meat cook of the household. Keith always knows how to make his wife and 2 kids, Amy and Jeffrey, happy with his dishes. He often reminds them how important it is to appreciate the meat that has sustained them all this time. However, Keith seems upset because Amy is busy with her phone instead of enjoying family time. What's more, Amy also refuses to eat the grilled meat Keith worked so hard to prepare, saying she'd rather go for a walk because she's bored. After Amy leaves for her stroll, the rest of the family finishes their meal. Suddenly, 2 local men with a rough rural demeanor appear, Billy and Vern. They seem suspicious and introduce themselves, mentioning that they are searching for a missing relative named Melior, a burly man covered in spots. Hearing this, Keith politely replies that he has no idea who they are looking for, as he has just arrived in the area. However, Vern becomes tempted by the aroma of the steak Keith is cooking. Jeffrey casually offers them some chocolate, hoping to distract them so they won't attempt to take the family's portion of meat. In response, the 2 men offer an unusual snack made of dried grasshoppers, which further raises the family's suspicions about how strange these men are. Keith's polite yet firm demeanor brings the encounter to a tense close. Once they feel safe again, and Amy returns, Keith's family continues their journey. However, a similar tension arises when they encounter Billy and Vern once more. This time their car is broken down, and Vern asks Keith to give Billy a ride into town. Keith, who is naturally hospitable but also a bit curious about their background, eventually agrees after some back and forth, while Vern stays behind in the car until the help Billy contacts arrives. During the drive, Billy starts talking about his family, who live in a large house inherited from his grandfather, a place where numerous relatives reside. In the car, Jeffrey notices that Billy has taken one of his books without permission, making Jeffrey angry. While flipping through it, Billy realizes the handwriting is that of his missing sibling. When Billy asks more questions about it, suddenly,
Plain work?
Young man, I'm not cleaning that up, by the way.
the scene abruptly shifts, revealing a beautiful woman named Savannah, who is actually Billy's sister, and Vern, who is also part of this family. They reside in the grandfather's old house that Billy just described in the car. Savannah appears kind, busily preparing food for her family. But the mood quickly turns eerie when we cut back to Keith's family, who turn out to be cannibals. They are busy butchering Billy's body, stocking up on meat for their own supply. Keith keeps insisting that Amy assist her mother so she can learn how to handle the meat properly, especially since, based on what they've heard, Billy's family has many other members who could be their next harvest. That night, Savannah's family is enjoying a simple dinner without some of their siblings. Their conversation shifts to the topic of Billy, who hasn't returned yet. Julie, one of Savannah's sisters, is startled when a different family suddenly arrives at their remote home. It's Keith's family, acting like tourists with car trouble. Keith claims they met Billy earlier, thus knowing where this house was. Julie and the rest of the family, unsuspecting, greet Keith's family warmly and even serve them meatball soup. However, unlike the others, Savannah grows wary and asks Keith for more details about his supposed meeting with Billy. Keith continues his story, saying Billy and Vern split up to find another missing brother, even though that missing brother is actually the man chased by the psychopath at the start of the film, the family's first victim. Tension grows when a tall, imposing figure called Big Mac joins them. Jeffrey immediately sees Big Mac as a prime target for a large meat harvest. We then switch to Vern, who's distracted by his phone and trying to reach Billy. However, his stomach starts to hurt from the poisoned chocolate Jeffrey gave him earlier. Meanwhile, Julie, still oblivious, also accepts chocolate from Jeffrey. She's delighted because sweets are hard to come by in such a remote place. Not long after, Amy asks permission to use the bathroom, and Savannah escorts her. In the bathroom, Amy accidentally drops a severed piece of Billy's eye she had previously cut. Exiting, Amy seems fascinated by Savannah's sweet and friendly demeanor, while Savannah is drawn to Amy as well, especially after learning Amy is a college student. As the night wears on, both families appear closer, though each harbors hidden intentions. Julie's father proudly showcases Savannah's skills. She's not only an adept archer, but also quite good at playing piano. After this impromptu show, Keith is escorted to a guest room with his wife, both pretending to be delighted while secretly marking time to harvest Savannah's family. Julie shows Amy and Jeffrey to their rooms. Meanwhile, Savannah, as usual, keeps her father company to ensure he says his prayers before sleeping. The father comments on how polite and well-behaved Amy seems, making Savannah even more thrilled because she'll be sharing a room with Amy. Jeffrey, however, grows suspicious, believing his sister, who he assumes is attracted to women, has only one thing on her mind: hooking up with Savannah. Keith instructs Jeffrey to stay focused on waiting for the poison to take effect on Big Mac so they can harvest this large man without resistance. Elsewhere, Savannah starts feeling a twinge of envy toward Amy, who looks more modern and always has her phone, whereas Savannah can only borrow Billy's phone. Meanwhile, the chocolate's effects take hold. Julie and Big Mac both suffer severe stomach pain. Unable to bear it, Big Mac steps outside to vomit in a hidden spot, unaware that Jeffrey is secretly tracking him. When Big Mac collapses under the worsening poison, Jeffrey seizes the moment to harvest him. Keith, ready for a big family harvest, goes after Julie's father first. That night becomes fraught with fear and bloodshed. Julie's father and Big Mac both meet a tragic end. Next, we move to Savannah's room, where she's chatting intimately with Amy. Amy, who initially intends to harm her new romantic partner, hesitates when Savannah reflexively moves, and Amy accidentally cuts herself instead. Startled and clueless about what's really happening, Savannah hurries to get medicine for Amy. Meanwhile, Amy's malicious resolve begins to waver, softened by Savannah's caring gestures. When Savannah steps out, Keith and his wife are seen looking pleased, having just finished dealing with Big Mac's remains. The atmosphere grows tense again when Savannah, who left Amy earlier, hears Keith and his wife discussing the fact they've just disposed of Big Mac. Julie, still weak, comes across the piece of Billy's eye that Amy dropped in the bathroom. It dawns on both women that the family they've welcomed is a group of human-eating psychopaths. Julie tries to warn her father, but everything spirals further. Keith feels triumphant, convinced his only remaining prey are the female members, whom he underestimates. But he forgets one crucial thing. Savannah is a highly skilled archer. Moving with lightning speed, she fires an arrow straight at Keith's wife's neck, killing her instantly.
I guess it's time to stop fucking around. Let's finish.
Amy becomes alarmed, realizing the entire family is now in serious danger. As tensions flare, Amy recognizes Savannah as the only archer here. To lure Savannah out, Keith decides to use Julie as bait, but Julie refuses. Lacking any remaining sanity, Keith threatens to break Julie's fingers. While chaos ensues, Savannah finds a phone in her room and quickly calls her brother Vern for help. Suddenly, Jeffrey overhears Savannah's voice and charges in. Savannah overpowers him, taking him hostage. She attempts to leverage that to negotiate with Keith. She'll release Jeffrey if Keith backs down, but Keith won't budge. Unwilling to put her sister's life at risk, Savannah ultimately surrenders, freeing Jeffrey. Now Savannah is tied up beside Julie. Keith orders Jeffrey to grab gasoline and douse the area, planning to burn down the house with Savannah and Julie inside to erase all evidence. While Jeffrey completes this grim task, Keith, showing his psychopathic tendencies, begins a mock cooking session. Julie is horrified to see that Keith has mutilated Big Mac's body and turned it into food. As Keith and Amy argue, Savannah quietly works to free herself. Once the rope is loose, she snatches a nearby fork and stabs Keith's eye. Amy, seeing her father in pain, attacks Savannah and tries to choke her. At that critical moment, Vern bursts in and shoots Keith, the cannibal father. Hearing the shot, Jeffrey rushes inside to find his father on the floor. Vern points his gun at Jeffrey, but then Keith, still alive despite his injuries, suddenly strikes Vern on the head, knocking him down. Savannah flees, with Jeffrey in hot pursuit. The scene continues with an intense standoff. Keith engages in a brutal fight with Vern, while Jeffrey hunts down Savannah. The fight between Keith and Vern ends with Vern being killed, but Julie intervenes and ultimately kills Keith. Witnessing this, Jeffrey becomes furious and immediately attacks Savannah. However, due to Savannah's skills, she manages to overpower and kill Jeffrey as well. In the end, Savannah and Julie manage to survive. They share a relieved smile, convinced that the nightmare has finally come to an end. But suddenly, Amy appears from behind and stabs Julie. Driven by deep rage over her slain sibling, Savannah grabs a mallet and chases Amy out of the house. At that very moment, a patrol officer happens to be nearby and, misreading the situation, reacts hastily by shooting Savannah. Tragically, the officer mistakes Amy for the terrified victim and assumes Savannah is the aggressor. When the officer lets his guard down, Amy seizes the opportunity and attacks him. The ensuing chaos, along with the house fire, leaves Amy free from the shadow of her cannibalistic family. She proceeds to begin a new life on her own, and the film comes to an end. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, because by subscribing you have supported me to make better videos. See you in the next video.